Ganja Farmer, Nyasore, Kishash, the names are endless when we're talking about the heart of today's motion. And in today's motion, we'll be discussing the topic of marijuana should be legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes in Kenya. I will repeat the motion again. Marijuana should be legalized for recreation and medicinal purposes in Kenya. Opposing and proposing this motion today is Moi Forces Academy versus Jamhuri Academy, and I'm very much eager to hear what both teams have to defend in terms of their cases. Team proposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Marijuana should be legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes in Kenya. My name is Alfred Mutua from the Moi Forces Academy, here to strongly propose the motion. To begin with, some of the basic terms in this motion are medicinal and recreational, with medicinal being for the health, recreational being for the enjoyment. But the bulk of the motion actually lies within legalization, because ladies and gentlemen, we're not just telling you that we're going to sell this bang to you helter-skelter. No. It's that we are going to control its distribution straight from where it is being planted to the final user. That is what we mean by legalization. But how though? How will this be achieved? Let me read you a statistic courtesy of RAND Corporation. In Uruguay, the first country to officially legalize marijuana in 2013, the country established a state of controlled cannabis industry to regulate the distribution and sale. Further, it goes on to say that there are only registered users that can purchase this cannabis. If that's not enough, in Canada, which legalized marijuana in 2018, we have that the federal government oversees the production, distribution, and sale of this marijuana. So this is not something that we're just putting forth into the table that you get bang, you get bang, you get bang. No, it's that we are going to take a plan that is going to be overseen, a regulatory body is going to be put in place, and we are going to distribute this bang, we are going to plant it, sell it, all of it will be controlled. Now, according to this, it just can't happen overnight. A framework needs to be put in place. What are some of these factors that we'll consider when putting this framework in place? The first thing is about educating the people on this bang. The second thing is about the taxation. The third thing on the monitoring and evaluation and on the potential risks and the harm of this marijuana. So it's not going to be an overnight process, no. It is something that we are going to plan for, and we are going to do it so carefully and so steadily that we are actually going to reap benefits from this bang. And now a question to you as the audience. Why have we come to such a point that we're debating on this exact motion? What is the issue in this country that is making us consider this bang? Because when the elections were happening and our good candidate was talking about selling bang and doing this and doing that, we all saw it as a laughing matter. But when you have over 7 trillion in debt, ladies and gentlemen, then I think bang is the way to go. Now, to begin with, why legalize? We have economic impact, medical impact, and then we have impacts on the justice reform. One of the economic impacts is on tax revenue. A statistic, courtesy of RAND Corporation, Colorado has achieved a net accumulation profit of $387 million from just selling bang. Canada, $8 billion just from bang. Think about that.
Team opposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Just as we have stories are Jabba, is the same way we have stories are Bangi. Now, my name is Kibet Onyango from Jamhuri High School, here to oppose on the motion that states marijuana should be legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes in Kenya. Now, legalization. In this context, legalization refers to the process of removing legal restrictions on the production, sale, possession, and use of marijuana for recreational and medicinal purposes, subject to regulatory frameworks and safeguards. Now, medicinal, helpful in the process of healing illness or infection. You see, saying marijuana has medicinal purposes and medicinal uses is the most diabolical, and I repeat, diabolical statement I've ever heard in my entire life, truth be told. You see, no amount of statistics, data, or facts can be used to persuade my opposers that marijuana can cure or whatever purpose these guys are talking about. Now, why do you need statistics and you can just use common sense? Common sense, please. According to statistics, marijuana has well-documented adverse effects on cognitive development, particularly among young people and individuals. A study published in JAMA Psychiatry found that marijuana with an increased risk of developing both depression in adulthood and anxiety disorder. So, audience, let me ask you a question. Who here needs marijuana for medical reasons? Please raise your hand. My third speaker will speak on that. Seriously, proposition. What does marijuana do that no other drug does that for you need to legalize it so that you can use it to heal? Seriously, audience, please, what are these guys talking about, honestly? Has it been tried before? And was it successful? What medicine has marijuana made? By who? When? Where? How did it work? If so, why do you think it's not in use today? Question to you guys. Please, 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 ask team opposition. We do not want marijuana. We never needed marijuana and in the first place, and certainly we do not want marijuana right now. So let us keep status quo by keeping marijuana illegal and keeping these guys in jail, seriously. And with that, I rest my case. Merci.
Team proposition, second speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Our motion of dissection today, as it stands, is that marijuana should be legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes in Kenya. Allow me to reiterate some of these delusional cases that team opposition is trying to bring on stage. This individual came and stood here and told us that marijuana cannot help, allow me to quote, marijuana cannot help, and what can marijuana do that no other drug can do? And he said that no amount of statistic can be able to cope with that. Well, surprise, surprise. Statistics, statistics, statistics. Stratified, clarified. How about we identify? According to the University of Madrid, Joanne Harry published on the 19th of June 2013, telling us about the endocannabinoid system in the body. It varies in 90% of human beings. In order for this system to be unlocked, you need a specific drug. Let me give you a very good analogy. Just the same way you can take 500 grams of paracetamol, and I can also take the same 500 grams of the paracetamol, but it won't work as much as it works for you than me. It might have a better effect on you than it has on me, and that's what I call the endocannabinoid system. But now he talks about this addiction. He tries to tell us how bad it is for our youth. But surprise, surprise, I'm a scientist. You know, marijuana has a composition. It's composed of carbon-9 and cannabinoids. The cannabinoids are such as 1, CBD, 2, CBN, example, CBG, THCP, and HHC, including delta-9 and delta-5. Maybe the chemistries can confirm this for us. Yeah. So what this actually does is that we will remove this carbon-9, which causes the adverse disadvantaged effects. If you're able to put this aside and serve you the cannabinoid part of it, which is the better part of it, I think our case is solved. And now let's move on to my first point. The economic impact. But unlike this case, I always have statistics. According to Marijuana Policy Project, on the 14th of September 2021, George Albert tells us that Lesotho, the first African country to legalize marijuana, could potentially bring an income revenue of $1.5 billion. As I want to emphasize, legalization, this means we will control who will grow, harvest, process, in what quantity, in what quality, and in what prices. What we'll do is that we'll even put job opportunities for those who will process, those who will harvest, and those who will sell. And the best case that this team will give us is about the cost of implementation and the health effects which we have actually given you, and also the framework that we have actually given you. So, if these individuals are ready to make you cross the road on a red flag, we say green is the best way to go.
Team Opposition, second speaker, you have 3 minutes.
We are the legends you have heard in TV shows and read in books. Our reputation precedes us. We are the three musketeers, here to put smile on your faces and tear to their heads. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the following are headlines and remarks which of countries which have legalized marijuana. The first country was Colombia. Colombia, in a magazine called The Sentinel, the headlines read, "From maize farming to marijuana farming, how hunger has struck the economy." Second, Mexico. It reads the insight, "Should we ban marijuana after loss of life?" Third, Thailand. The spotlight, how marijuana contributed to loss of life. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm not going to call myself a carpenter, but please, I'm going to nail them. And the first nail that I'm going to nail to them is decrease in food production. You see, my first speaker told you that just as the way we have stories at Jaba, we also have stories at Bangi. And just as we have a common farmer, we also have a ganja farmer. What do I mean? You see, ladies and gentlemen, these farmers who plant food crops such as maize, bananas, cassava, you name it, they will move from being food crop farmers to ganja farmers. Ganja farmers. What do I mean, ladies and gentlemen? Selling this marijuana will increase the farming of it. What do I mean? You see, you cannot tell me that we'll legalize marijuana in Kenya and then not farm it and then not plant it. So it will decrease the level of production in Kenya of food crops. We will not have food crops such as maize, cassavas, bananas. Will be planting marijuana. And you cannot tell me you can eat ugali with marijuana. You cannot tell me that you can eat rice with marijuana. You cannot. You see, their points are as broken as my broken arm. That's why I'm here to put a nail to their arms. You see, imagine the way we are rich in potatoes. Imagine the way we are rich in bananas. Imagine the way, ladies and gentlemen, we are rich in cassavas. We will be importing them. Importing them from where? Countries like Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia, which have not legalized marijuana. You see, this can't, and don't forget, importation is not free. We buy these goods so that they're delivered to us. And what will it do to the economy? Ladies and gentlemen, importation will damage the economy. You see, you will be buying one onion at around 150 shillings. So that is the future they want to implement to us Kenyans. That is the future of our agriculture economy. You see, the second nail is that loss of life. You see, marijuana causes hallucination. Just as the way they are hallucinating that they are giving valid points is the same way that a man in California hallucinated and got hit by a car. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case. Thank you.
Team Proposition have been tasked to validate how exactly they'll be able to control this sector once it's legalized, given that control is already difficult, even as it is already illegal. Team Opposition have been tasked to further elaborate why exactly we should move to their side, given that there's already a prevalence of use of marijuana, even in its illegal state. Team Proposition, you have 3 minutes from your third speaker.
My name is Ronnie Kiven from the proposition side, and I'm here to propose the motion that states marijuana should be legalized for recreational and medicinal purposes in Kenya, of course from the Moi Forces Academy. And now the question posed to me was, at the moment in the country, we are having difficulties to control bang, and we are having people abusing bang, and so how are we assured that we are able to regulate the sector once we've implemented it? And you see, this is very simple. At the moment, marijuana is being grown in the bush. At the moment, marijuana is being sold by cartels. But what does legalization seek to do? We are removing control from the cartels, from these people growing it in the hiding, from these people who are growing it in the bush, giving control to the government. Have you not heard how other governments in other countries are able to control this marijuana through simple things like licensing, age restrictions, public health educations? But when we have the government combating against the black market sale of marijuana, it is difficult because people are obtaining this marijuana without the government's knowledge. But imagine if the government could know every time you want marijuana, because why would you purchase marijuana from the black market when the government is offering it to you? And therefore, we can take a study of Uruguay's case, where it has undermined black market sale of marijuana, reduced drug-related violence since its implementation in 2013. This is courtesy of Drug Policy Alliance. And so the benefit of implementation of this is we control this marijuana that is being sold in the bush. We give the government the control. And now, the opposition has posed to us the questions of the health effects of marijuana, and they've also talked about how marijuana leads to how planting marijuana will lead to decrease in food production. I think this is very naive. Where do you live in? I mean, we are living in a country where in 2020, an estimated that 6% of the Kenyan population live below the national poverty line. This is before implementation of marijuana. Now, according to UNICEF, approximately 18% of Kenyan children lacked access to essential healthcare services. So how then, when we fail to implement marijuana, will the agricultural sector suddenly grow on its own? Will people start getting the food that they are not getting? Will people start benefiting economically? And so the suggestion to all these problems you are facing economically is marijuana. You see, from the sale of marijuana, we earn money. This money can be invested in the agricultural industry. This money can be invested in education. This money can be invested in health initiatives, solving all of Kenyan problems. Thank you for my time.
Opposition, third speaker, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Kelly Morioke, and I'll be your preacher for the day. So, this is my sermon. And to start with my rebuttals, you talked of a growing economy due to marijuana. Seriously, how can we have a thriving economy if it's full of drug addicts? How can we have a thriving economy if its citizens are in hospitals recovering from the effects of using marijuana? Well, and to answer the question that was asked, well, the government can work together with law enforcement and enforce its policies to make it more difficult for people to possess marijuana. Now, you came here with a solution. Please, let's act like people who have been in a classroom for 5 minutes. See, we cannot control the distribution of marijuana. My first speaker asked the audience who would like marijuana. And sorry to say, there was a hand. And it leads me to my first point, leads to moral decay. As I've stated, how are we supposed, if marijuana is made legal, if marijuana is made illegal, it will lead to moral decay. See, where I live, there are children below the age of 18 who access alcohol. See, how is this connected? You talked of distribution of marijuana, of controlled distribution. Well, marijuana can be grown the same way you grow maize. The same way you grow pyrethrum is the same way you can grow marijuana. And now, when you come here and tell me that there'll be the government, it will only be legal to the government, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Because if it's made legal, I can grow it in my house. I can use it the way I want to. And my speakers, they spoke of public health concerns. You see, while the proposition mentions the establishment of regulations and quality control measures, it fails to address the potential public health risks associated with marijuana. And marijuana destroys more than it cures. I really don't see the reason why we should legalize marijuana. Since we have marijuana, even though it's illegal, in our streets, and look at what it's done to our peers. Look at what it's done to our brothers and sisters. Please, we should keep marijuana illegal. I rest my case.
Team proposition, you have 1 minute to make your closing remark.
Once again, before you is Hamza Hussein from one of the most renowned military national schools in this nation, the Moi Forces Academy, and here to clear up the air about the legalization aspect. The poor understanding of the motion and the terms inside it just pains me. We talked about legalization being the solution. Legalization means that we will control who grows, harvests, processes, and in what quantity and in what quality and prices. That doesn't mean that you can go to your farm and start planting marijuana like the way they're planting poor cases here. Now, allow me to tell you how this will work. We have given you a framework. What does this framework compose of? Licensing, buyers and sellers. 2, taxation. 3, continuous monitoring and evaluation of these processes. And 4, the adoption of tolerance policy. 5, talk about the certain way it's going to be consumed. And I wanted to tell you where it worked. They say that we haven't given them statistics, right? We told you that it worked in Uruguay, Canada, and also the Netherlands. Now, just to close their case, they're talking about alcohol. Did you know that alcohol has even a worse effect than this marijuana? Marijuana is the solution if it's legalized. But if these individuals are just seated here telling me about marijuana being akin to maize, I think we can save them some to have some clear chests of ugali after this. How about that? Thank you.
Team opposition, you have 1 minute to make your closing remarks.
Judges, I would love to say that they are just offering a bird in the bush, and we are pressing that same bird onto your hands, and we all know a bird in your hand is worth 2 in the bush. By the way, thank you for your statistics, Mr. Scientist. That was well needed. Now, and for your implementation, how are we supposed to implement this system they're talking about, and yet the current state of the Kenyan government, corruption? How are we going to do this? How? You didn't explain to me. You just gave us ideas, deluded ideas and answers, unsubstantial statements. And with that, I rest our case. And that is where we stand. We stand saying we should not legalize marijuana.
Moi Forces Academy, you guys shot from the hip, taking no prisoners in defending your case. You stood out. On the other hand, Jammu, you tried to come out guns blazing. However, there was one painful thing that was trying to come out, you justifying how legalizing marijuana destroys more than it cures. That bit struggled to come out. But overall, justice was done to this motion. Generally, for both teams, there is something that I want you to take home, addressing each other in terms that come out in a demeaning way. Let's shun from that. In debating, we attack the points and not the speakers. Let's try to bring on board terminologies which show that we are engaging in some kind of intellectually loaded debate. May the most outstanding team take it home.
Two things. Listen to each other as you speak. The points are already being made. I also felt that the recreational bit of this motion was not coming out. We dwelled on medicinal use. I didn't hear anything on recreational, and I know Jamu could have attacked that center from an addiction. You tried, is it Kelly? Kelly, to bring that out, addiction. But you used the word use. I was waiting to hear the word abuse. You know? So recreational was not really felt even from the Moi Forces Academy, but well executed debate. Thank you.
So, how's the debate for you guys?
I think that debate was, personally, it was more engaging on stage rather than preparation. I think they really kept us on our toes. And even for all that we had planned for, we all had to adapt in a way that just shows how good the other team are and how good of adapting we also are. So I really thank the other school for posting such a good competition and for elevating the levels that the debate circle deserves.
I feel like we'll have done it better, especially on that recreation part, which the judges have talked about. But it was a really good debate. I enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed the questions. I enjoyed the fight we sort of had between the first to the third speaker. It was an enjoying debate. I loved it.
There are no winners and losers. And we went home and learned, and we came back to win. So I think they'll also go home and learn, and come back and maybe learn again.
And we have come to the moment of truth on who takes it home today. Again, it's been a very witty and stimulating conversation as we are talking matters stimulants. And the judges have awarded Moi Forces Academy 73.5%. A round of applause, please, for Moi Forces Academy. And the judges have awarded Jamhuri High School with 64.8%. A round of applause for Jamhuri High School. And the winners of this debate is Moi Forces Academy. A round of applause, please, for Moi Forces Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the end of this debate, and until next time, it is goodbye from us here at the Debate Circle. Again, remember to check our socials for more of this content on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Twitter at the Debate Circle. It is goodbye from us.